What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 18, episode 11. I'm gonna try my best not to cough or sniffle in your ear because I'm coming down with a cold, so that lets me know that fall is actually here. So let's get into it. So y'all know sometimes before we get into it, we get a little spicy over here. And a few things that caught my eye on the timeline, I just want to speak to you guys about. So first up, it looks like the ladies for Real Housewives of Orange County are set to film their reunion. And Andy sent out a tweet about I guess a week ago on the 13th, asking fans to send him tweets and questions and, put in there where they're from for the ladies. I also saw this clip of on Bravo Snark side, and it was Tamra and Teddy doing their two T's in a pod where she talks about how someone has bought bots to like harass her, as well as the backlash from the fans has actually lit a fire underneath her to go into the reunion ready and hot. So let me play that clip for you.
This lit a fire under my ass for the reunion. I
Yeah.
have been like kind of felt beat down because I feel like I haven't really done much to get the hate. Of course, half of the hate is being bought by somebody that's, bought bots to go after me. But I'm like, you know what? That I'm gonna
Yeah,
go in guns a blazing.
yeah.
I'm not gonna be like beat down and go down there and just be like, oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm sorry.
sorry. I'm sorry. No way. No, I'm bringing all the shit out.
So here's my thing with Tamra. I feel like Tamra lacks self awareness because there's no way that you sat down and have seen clips or watched the episodes and don't realize that you might have went too far. Even if you feel like you were justified in what you were saying, the optics of what is like what you're seeing should let you know, like, dang, I went a little bit too far. And I'm not even the biggest Shannon Bedore fan. I love what Shannon is as a housewife, and I totally understand why people put her in their like top 10 because she gives so much and she is very transparent. But I oftentimes feels like Shannon acts like she doesn't cause some of the storms in her life. Okay. But with this instance in the DUI, we've seen Shannon be remorseful. We've seen her take accountability. Even though she's not acknowledging that she more than likely has a drinking problem, we at least seen her be accountable for her actions. So Tamara constantly bringing it up and like trying to throw it in her face, it makes you look like a butthole. And I don't believe Shannon bought bots against against Tamara. I think the energy coming off of the fans is warranted based off of what they're seeing. On top of that, Shannon is a fan favorite. You should have been prepared for this. And then I also think it's not Jen because Jen is going to be the last the person she's beefing with the last half of the season. And I don't think Jen has that time to do all of that, nor does she got the money. Okay. But our last thing I want to talk about is Alexis. So Alexis took to her Instagram to post this caption and post this picture. I'm getting this from No Smoke No More, and they titled their tweet by saying, Alexis says what we are seeing on the show is not real. So this is what she posted. I just want to let everyone know that what you're seeing in my career is not real. It's not the truth. There has been so much left out intentionally to paint me in a bad light. It's okay. I'll take one for the team to get ratings for this business, but I will live in my truth. I will bring the truth, whether I have to do it here on my Instagram page or if this career I choose decides to bring the truth out. Either way, it will come out and you will all see the true Alexis. Because what you're seeing on your TV right now is not me. I love you all, and I do not hate you for hating me, because I would hate me too if I were you. But just hang tight. I'll be speaking the truth after every episode of what has been left out intentionally to paint me as someone I don't even know. It will actually intrigue you. And then she has 3 hearts. She says, in parentheses, live recaps of the truth starting from episode 1 coming ASAP on my IG. And BTW, thank you to my glam squad for this picture. And then she added them. And then she ended it by saying, hashtag God is on the throne. First of all, girl, what does God being on the throne have to do with this? Alexis. These types of statements always make me laugh because I'm like, Alexis, you gave them the footage to edit you this way. We do know production or the people that edit do play games. Like they'll show something out of sequence, or they'll do a voice overlay in a situation where when the person made the statement or the sound, that didn't even happen in that situation. But the way Alexis is acting, girl, you did all of that. You did all of that. And also, why are you waiting until the season is pretty much almost over to do live recaps? We're on episode 11. And I bet you this season might be at least 18 episodes, like possibly not including the reunion. So, with all of this, and maybe if they include the reunion, I'm thinking this might be 21 or 22 episodes because it might be a 3-part or a 2-part reunion. But either way, girl, you waited too long, Alexis. This is mess. But let's get into the review. All right, y'all. So when the episode opens up, we have two conversations going on at once. You have Shannon and Gina talking. Gina is at Shannon's place, and Gina is just catching Shannon up on what happened because remember, she left the family equality event early because she had to be in St. Louis or wherever she went. No, I think they went to St. Louis this time for the Dos Amigas show with Vicky, but she I guess had another show with Vicky, so she left early. We then end up seeing Emily, Jen, and Katie. They're out getting coffee and they're also talking about what happened. So let's start off with Gina and Shannon. So Shannon is just like, so what happened while I was gone? And Gina's like, girl, me and Katie got into it. And Shannon's like, for what? And she explains how, when you left, we did this whole bike riding event and we went to this like winery. All of a sudden, I'm being told that Katie was telling people that I'm only friends with Heather because I need her for connections with real estate. And Shannon was like, do you need her? Because I don't think you do. And then Gina is like, no, like I've never used Heather for any of her connections. Like she hasn't helped me with my career, not once. Like this is my career. Like I don't have this based off of like anybody doing me any favors like that. So Shannon was kind of trying to stick up for Katie because she was like, well, maybe that's what, she heard or something like that. And I'm like, Shannon, shut up. We know you like Katie because Katie stood up to Heather because you and Heather have a frenemies relationship. But it seems like Katie embellished because when you go back to the scene, Katie does not say what she said to Tamra when they had their flashback scene. Katie ended up saying that Gina was like, she doesn't want to lose her relationship with Heather because Heather has a lot of connections and it's like to a wealthier crowd. But then when she was confronted at the winery, Katie didn't even say the same thing that she told Tamra. So it does seem like Katie put a little more sauce on what Gina said. And it didn't, like Emily said, that's not something that Gina would say. Now, I've always felt like Gina is an opportunist when it comes to Heather. Like she likes being in proximity to Heather because of her wealth. But I don't know if I believe that Gina outright told Katie that she's only cool with Heather or she doesn't want to ruin her relationship with Heather because of Heather's connections. Because we haven't seen Heather do anything for her as it pertains to like real estate. So Gina and Shannon's conversation continues where Shannon explains to Gina that she reached out to her lawyer to inform him or her about John in these videos. And so what we find out is that Shannon's lawyer actually reached out to John's lawyer being like, what are these videos you have on my client? And John's lawyer basically said that his client has these videos just in case Shannon wants to go off the rails. I said, girl, what? Are you serious? And I was like, is this legal? Because this shouldn't be legal. Well, a Twitter user by the name of Jennifer Marie Esquire, which I know Esquire goes after lawyers' names, she explained that, and I'm summarizing it, that basically because John has not actually filed a lawsuit, it's not really blackmail or extortion. But the moment he does file a lawsuit, Shannon can counter that lawsuit by saying they're trying to extort her. Right now, it's just kind of like idle threats. And John, if John was stupid, he would release the video. And if he did release the video, Shannon could come back and do like defamation and then show the show and all of that stuff. But it's still crazy because John is upset about his reputation. But I'm like, what you're doing is making it worse, and then coupling yourself with Alexis didn't make it any better. So like I said, there were two conversations going on at once. So we had Gina and Shannon, and the other conversation was Emily, Katie, and Jen. So they're sitting down at some coffee shop, and Emily starts talking about her daughter Annabelle. Katie's like, oh, when you repost your text message conversations, they're so funny. Annabelle is hilarious. And Emily talks about how, she's working on not overcompensating because she grew up with not a lot. She gives her kids everything, and it's kind of like she created a monster because her daughter's always like, well, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? And she was like, I need to work on pulling it back. Katie says she does the same, especially as it pertains to like her children with the whole divorce. Then Jen chimes in and says she's actually going through the same thing with her oldest son, Dawson. We see a flashback that we saw earlier in the season on one of the episodes where Dawson ends up being like, now that you moved in with Ryan, all of a sudden I got a curfew, and I ain't never had a curfew. So what we doing here? And then we also see another flashback of Jen, I guess when they were in wine country, talking to the girls about how she just got off the phone with Ryan, and Dawson came into the house at 12 o'clock in the morning. And everyone's like, on a school night? Yeah, that's unacceptable. And she was just like, she doesn't know what she's going to do because Dawson just... he not listening. And so she said she contacted him and told him that she wanted to have a conversation with him because she doesn't want him to go down the wrong path. She also says that Dawson is one of the kids she always says an extra prayer for because she just stressed. Okay, he stresses her out. So they talk about Shannon because Katie is like, do you think Shannon's going to come to your event, Jen? So we found out that Jen wants to have all the ladies over now that she's settling into Ryan's house and the kids are all kind of good to go because they've unpacked everything. And Jen is like, I sent her a text message, but I don't think she texted me back yet. She was like, I also don't think she's coming, even though Alexis is coming, but I think Shannon has her thing with Vicky. So I think like she won't be coming. And Katie was like, that might be the best because they did not end on a good foot. So Emily starts talking about the case or the situation between John and Shannon. And in her confessional, she was like, she feels like he's trying to extort her. She actually reads off like the legal like law of like what extortion is in the state of California. And she was like, I feel like that's what John is doing. She also says that this is doing more damage to John than anything that Shannon has ever done. And I actually agree with Emily. Like, had John just dated Alexis, didn't bring up this lawsuit, and just let Alexis look wacky if she was going to still be on this type of time about like, my man, he like would not be feeling the brunt of everyone being like, you ruined your own reputation. Shannon ain't really said much about you. And we wouldn't be talking about you if you hadn't brought this up to us. So this is your fault, sir. This is totally your fault. So they then get on to the conversation about the fashion show. Emily felt left out. She felt like she was singled out because at the end of the fashion show, when they do the picture of all of the ladies, she was the only person in jeans. And she felt some type of way because everybody else had on leather pants. But when you look at the picture, Shannon got on a skirt. The lady beside Shannon got on sequins. I guess Emily said, I wanted to be in uniform like everybody else. So she felt like purposely the fact that she had to wear her own jeans, it made her seem like she was too big to fit the clothes. She also draws this comparison with Alexis, where she's like, Alexis and I had on the same dress. She was looking like, sexy and free and all of that stuff. And I looked like I was, going to work. And when they put the outfits side by side, I said, it's the same dress and y'all both look like y'all work at a bank. It's giving very much office chic. Neither one of y'all was giving sexy. The only thing different from Alexis is that she had on a leather jacket. other than that, the dress wasn't a sexy dress. So I'm confused. And so Emily feels like some type of way because she also explains to the girls that like she actually went to the bathroom and had a mini breakdown. She feels like Heather didn't do it on purpose to put her in a bigger outfit, but she feels like Heather doesn't acknowledge the fact that she's lost a lot of weight, and she feels like Heather still looks at her like she's the big girl in the group. And I'm just like, you got all of that because they put you in a size 12 that you fit perfectly fine and you had to bring jeans? Like, okay. So then Jen is like, I don't think Heather did that on purpose. And Emily's like, do you think I'm like reading too much into it? Are my feelings too much? And Katie's like, no, your feelings are your feelings. I think you should talk to Heather about it. And I said, okay, girl. So I guess this episode was all about the kids because we see this scene of Tamra, Katie, and their daughters going to this candle shop. And Katie and Tamra want their daughters to trauma bond over the fact that they don't have a great relationship with their fathers, which is weird to me because that should not be the basis of people being friends. That's just me because that breeds toxicity. But the little girls end up having a conversation. And I will say they showed how smart they are or how wise they are when it comes to dating and where they are when it comes to how they want to operate with their romantic lives. You got Katie's daughter being like she just started dating and she was talking to this guy. He ended up saying he loved her. The girl didn't say it back, so the guy got an attitude because he got rejected, and most people don't like being rejected, and was trying to like gaslight her into saying it. And so she cut him off because she was like, at the first sign of someone treating me bad, I let him go. And Katie says in her confessional, she's that, I think the little girl's name is like Callie or Kaylee or whatever. She's like that because of the things she saw with her father. She was like, he was pretty hard on her. Now, I'm going to be honest. I probably have an unpopular opinion when it comes to Katie and this divorce. I feel like Katie's not telling fully the truth. After reading that article of her actually falsely calling the police on somebody, and then in the article they explain how her husband had full custody of the kids first, it makes me feel like there's more to the story. Now, I'm not saying Katie wasn't treated badly by her ex-husband, but I feel like Katie is trying to paint this picture like she was some type of victim. But seeing the way Katie operates on the show, it also feels like Katie doesn't take responsibility for the things that she does wrong. Like, you started a whole argument with Heather for no reason. So now I'm just kind of like, were you doing that in your marriage? And I also think it's weird that her youngest child in that relationship just wants to be with their father, because Katie ends up being like, it's hard for me. And she starts crying. And I bet you it is hard. Mothers want their kids around them. But she was like, he doesn't want to leave his friends. I don't know if that's true. I feel like he doesn't want to leave his dad. Because if I'm being completely honest, a lot of kids would go be with their mom or their parents over their friends. Like friends are important. I have wonderful friends, but if it's my friends or my parents, I'm picking my parents. So I feel like there's more to that conversation and more to the reason why that child is staying with their father. We then get Sophia. She has her own confessional, and she talks about how she doesn't want kids and she doesn't want to get married. She says most marriages end in divorce anyway. Tamara is telling her like, well, don't sell yourself short. Like, just because me and your dad didn't work out doesn't mean that it won't work out for you. And Sophia's pretty much like, I don't really see myself getting married or having kids. And she said a word, in my opinion, you shouldn't just be having kids because you're in love or because you get married. You should have kids because you want them and you are willing to do the work in order to make sure that you make them the best individuals that they are supposed to be. And she was like, when people just want kids just to have them, you get what she got. Her brother and her are not speaking to her father. And then her sister isn't speaking to Tamra. And I don't even think the siblings are really cool like that. You know what I mean? So it just shows that, like, just because you want kids doesn't mean you should have them. And it was weird to me how Tamara was trying to be like, it's really Simon's fault. And it's like, no, I think Sophia is talking about both of y'all. Both of y'all are not good parents. And this is what you have. So we have another kids conversation where we see Jen actually have a conversation with Dawson. He walks into the house and she's like, hey, come sit down so we can talk. So she sits down with him and she's like, where you been? And he was like, I just been out. And she's like, what's up with that? Like, I'm getting phone calls that when I'm away, you coming in the house at like 12 a.m. in the morning, waking up everybody. On top of that, when I tell you to come home when you're out and about with your friends, you were like, hey, like, I'm like, come home, we're about to have family dinner. You be like, oh yeah, I'm on my way. And it's like, it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, then 10 o'clock, you want to pull up. Like, what's up with that? Like, what's going on with you? And Dawson is like, I feel like every time we talk, it's you yelling at me or you coming at, it's always like what I'm doing wrong. Dawson this, Dawson that. Side note, Dawson is so cute. Like, he has Jen's face. And I looked at a picture of him with his dad, and I'm like, oh, Jen, that is your carbon copy. Because Jen ends up saying that she sees herself in Dawson, and I was like, how can you not? Because he has your face. It's just the boy version of you. And I kind of like his style. Maybe it's the haircut, but he's giving very like early 90s. Like, I could see them dropping him into like Boy Meets World, and I'd be like, yeah, he fits. He fits. So Dawson ends up telling her that, like, I sit in my car and just, contemplate life because that's my space. We also find out from Jen getting at Dawson, basically saying that, like, he's not doing really well in school. He's waking up late in school. She was like, I'm your mom. This is what I'm supposed to do. And he ends up being like, I feel like my space hasn't been respected. He was like, at least when I go stay with dad, even though it's a 1-bedroom apartment, like, my space is my space and his space is his space. And so Jen is like, do you not like Ryan? Do you not like being here? And he's like, no, I do like Ryan. But he was like, ever since we moved, I just feel like my space isn't respected. And I'm just like, first of all, I do believe everybody deserves to have their own space. I believe that kids should have their own room because that is their space. That is supposed to be their safe space in the house. But I'm also looking at Dawson like, I feel like you're trying to manipulate this situation with your mom to in order for her to allow you to go stay with your father, because it doesn't seem like your father puts boundaries on you. Because when they did the first flashback of Dawson and her, Dawson ends up being like, ever since we moved in with Ryan, now all of a sudden I got a curfew. So that lets me know that Jen and her husband never put limits on Dawson. And now that Jen is with Ryan and she's in this situation of trying to figure out what to do with money and stuff like that, she's trying to instill in her son, possibly it's too late, like, boundaries and responsibility and like good worth ethic, when like you should have started that when he was like 5. Actions have consequences. And I don't know. I remember the daughter saying that, I just want to find a place that's ours in one of the flashbacks. So I do understand that, like, him saying he wants his own space makes me feel like Jen and her kids are always on the move, and that can be unsettling. When you're a kid, always moving, having to unpack, pack up, meeting new people, that's a lot going on. Or not knowing where y'all are gonna live next and really wanting a space of your own. So having a space of your own is important, but it does seem like he just wants to go to his dad's house so he could do what he wants. What's interesting to me is, why does Jen's ex-husband just have a 1-bedroom apartment? He got 5 kids. That's weird. And then we found out that he has a girlfriend and she got 3 kids or 4 kids, That's weird. Like, where is everybody staying when they come stay with you? Are all the kids sleeping in the living room while you sleep in a bed? Which makes me feel like that money that Jen got, her husband really don't have money like that. Because when we were introduced to Jen, I remember her saying that her husband worked in the family business. And I wonder if he got that position because he was married to Jen, not because he was qualified for the position. So then when they got a divorce, the family was like, we no longer want you to be a part of our company. Because that is weird to me that you have 5 kids and you're staying in a 1-bedroom apartment. I could have gave it to you if you said 3. Because that would give you like an office space, your room, and then a spare bedroom for like your daughter, and then the boys can sleep in the office space or somebody can sleep in the living room. But the fact that you just have a 1-bedroom apartment and you got 5 kids is wild to me. And you're dating somebody with 4 kids. Maybe he really didn't have no money. So Jen actually agrees to let Dawson to go stay with his dad. She's crying in the confessional and she hope he comes back. More than likely, he's probably going to come back. Because What's interesting to me is like I had friends who and family members who have had divorced parents, and they were not having a good time with like the primary parent, where like one of my friends, it was her dad. She was tired of being with her daddy. So she was like, oh, I'm gonna stay with my mom. Had a worst experience with her mom because her mom seems to be the same as William, Jen's ex, gave her all this freedom, but then it was like off the exchange of freedom was like you were treated like an adult, not a child. And so she ended up within like a couple of months moving back in with her dad, and she appreciated him so much more. So maybe Dawson needs to go stay with his dad to appreciate the things that Jen has done for him. So next we have Shannon and Vicky. I'm going to be honest with y'all, I tuned out. I was not paying attention in this scene. The only thing that I noticed is that the crowd seemed kind of dead. And on top of that, Shannon ordered an alcoholic drink. Now, I know a lot of y'all feel like, because I've seen it in the comments, because I read comments, y'all feel like Shannon should be allowed to drink on camera. I personally don't think so. I feel like, yeah, you take accountability. Yeah, you're embarrassed by your actions, but you caused those actions. Nobody told you to get behind the wheel of a car heavily intoxicated at 60 years old. So you have to sit with that ale. It also, for me, confirms that I really do think Shannon has a drinking problem. Every time we see her go to a restaurant or the ladies are at a restaurant, she's ordering a drink. We have not seen her once get like water, tea, or like well, we know she don't drink soda, but we have never seen her get like lemonade or anything else. Like she always is ordering something with a splash of alcohol in it, and I'm just like, that does lend to the narrative that you do have a problem. And then previous seasons, everyone's like, Shannon gets drunk and then calls you and tells her business and tells you all the bad things John has done. So it's like, if you know that narrative is out there, then why don't you do yourself a favor and just always drink water and call it a day? So it's finally time for Jen's party at her and Ryan's house. The girls pull up. It's a nice, cute little setup, and they all sit down. The last person to come is Alexis. So everybody can tell that like something's up with Alexis. Her vibe is just off. She seems very like melancholy. And so Alexis ends up thanking Heather for allowing her to go to the GLAAD events. If you don't know, or GLAAD Awards, that is an organization that supports the LGBTQIA people and their rights, and they campaign and all of that stuff. And they have different types of events that they hold to like bring awareness to things. And so Heather was a presenter. Alexis was there, so was Terry. And Alexis was thanking Heather for allowing her to come. Now, again, since Alexis hasn't really done a great job giving us some backstory, other things other than her relationship with John, she does have a trans child. That is how her and Heather were able to become friends. So Alexis is saying how, she just appreciates Heather allowing her to come and that it meant a lot to her. And so Heather is like, oh, no problem. I wish John would have been there for you, because wasn't it like it was a personal thing? People were mad that Heather brought up John in this situation. And I'm like, for what? If Alexis has been since the past 10 episodes, my man, John, this, I love that man, he treats me better than this, then I would expect him to come to such an important event where you are there supporting this community because you have a child that's a part of it. So people being mad that she brought up John's name is weird to me, because he should have been there. If that's your man, your man, your man. So everyone's like, Alexis, what's wrong with you? Because it seems like something's off with you. Just tell us what's going on. So then Tamara gets pissed, and I was happy because I'd have been mad. I'd have been like, Tamara, girl, what is it? Tamara's like, just tell us, like, what is it? So then Alexis starts crying. She's like, it's just a lot, you guys. It's just a lot. And Emily chimes up and she says, I guess she's letting us know that the lawsuit or the legal situation with Shannon has gotten a lot worse. And she's like, yeah, it's just so much, She was like, it's just a lot. It's just so much. So as Alexis is having this moment, Gina is just staring at her like, "Girl, what is this?" But then she says in her confessional, I've been in that type of situation where the person that you're attached to is in a legal situation, but instead of running towards it, I back away from it." But Gina's like, "I don't get why Alexis and John keep running towards what they're going, like the legal situation. Why not just back away from it?" So then we end up seeing Emily and Tamara get up because they're just like, "What is going on with her? This is a lie." So then Gina sits down with her and she's like, "No, I see you're hurt." She's like, "I'm a wounded bird. I'm a wounded bird." I said, "Alexa, shut up." She was like, "I told John, this is too much for me. It's too much. Like, you were supposed to meet me 6 months after this. Like, not now." And Gina's like, "Okay, I am understanding." So then we get this confessional of Alexis being like, "I just lost my mom. I just broke up with my fiance. I'm going through a lot right now. Like, this is a lot, my family situation." And so I'm just looking at this like, is Alexis going through like grief psychosis, a word I just made up? Because as someone who is dealing with my own grief of losing a loved one, like sometimes you can do things that are not productive for your life in the long run. And I feel like John has come around her where, Alexis is by herself. She's no longer married. She has a pretty contentious relationship with her husband, not, I guess, respecting her trans child. And it's like, here comes John being, I guess, somewhat like Captain Saver. And so now she feels like indebted to him, because I'm like, girl, if all of this is happening right now, then let something go, which would be John, because you can't let go of your kid and you can't let go of your ex-husband because that's their dad, and your mom, you can't get your mama back, so you might as well just let John go. But then I think they filmed the confessionals out of order, because in one breath Alexis is like, "I broke up with my fiance, John's going through this situation with Shannon, and my mom has died," to now she's saying like, "But breaking up with John, that's not an option." I'm confused, Alexis. So Gina's like, "Okay, let's get ourselves together. Let's go to the bathroom. Let's go to the bathroom. We'll fix it and you'll become anew." So then Alexis is like, I wonder if Jen has some makeup I can use. I said, "Why you don't know her? Why you in her house trying to use her makeup?" So then Emily, like I said, Emily and Tamara were in the house, and Emily is like, "I thought we weren't going to take a train to Crazy, a ticket. I thought I bought a ticket to the girls' night, not a ticket to Crazy Town. I thought without Shannon being here, things would be okay. But no, she's a wackadoo. She tripping. She is really tripping." And so then Tamara's like, John has a type. That's just all we need to know, that John has a type. So as Gina and what's her name, and Alexis are walking into the house, you see Emily and Tamara start hiding because they don't want to get wrapped up in Alexis shenanigans. We then see Jen bring out this Jenga game, and I've played it before, not the exact same one, but I've played Jenga where there's like questions on it, or the other one that's like truth or dare, and pretty much that is what we see them actually playing. And I don't remember everything other than Tamara pissed on Jen's concrete near her pool, and then she got pool water and poured it on the pee to wash it down into the pool. Pretty much the Jenga question was like, "Hey, I dare you to go like pee in the grass," and Tamara pisses, and I said, "Girl, you really did that? Like, you really peed?" And the crazy thing about it is this is why I think Emily and Tamara have now become friends, is because Emily has very like frat bro humor, and Tamara does too, because I can only see a drunk white boy who's drunk off of Casamigos actually peeing in front of everybody because someone dared them. I've seen them do stupid stuff like that. I've seen one pee in front of everybody. So it's just kind of like, that stuff I thought was funny and cute when I was like 19, and like between the ages like 19 and 21. Like eventually it wears off, but with Tamara and Emily, it's like, y'all think that's cute. And I was like, I don't know how you're in your 50s and you think being outrageous like that is enjoyable to people, because it's not. So as the night continues, we see Tamara ask Heather, like, hey, when is your fashion line going to be launched? And Heather is like, oh, here soon. And it's not going to be a really big launch. So then Emily takes this as her opportunity to tell Heather how she felt. She was like, I kind of felt some type of way. And Heather's like, what do you mean? And Emily was like, you asked me to bring jeans, and I found out that you didn't ask anybody else to bring their own jeans. And Heather's like, yeah, I asked you to bring jeans. She was like, Emily's like, when I got on the stage and I was the only one in jeans, it felt like you singled me out because I'm bigger. And Heather's like, no, like, you sent your measurements. That's what I gave them. And like, I wanted to make you like the star of the show. Like, girl, like, you weren't the only one that had several outfit changes. You had 3. Some girls only had 2 or maybe even 1. So then Heather says in her confessional, I don't understand where Emily's coming from. I think she has a wonderful body. And then we actually see this scene of when Heather is telling Emily, and I think this is when they were in La Quinta. She's like, you have an amazing butt, Emily, like amazing. And Emily's like, oh, I do a lot of squats. And so Heather was like, I did not do that on purpose. Like, I didn't do that maliciously. And then Tamara chimes in and was like, I don't think Heather would do something like that. Like, you think she would be worried about you at a charity event to make you wear an outfit that doesn't fit you, or like to fat shame you? So then Emily brings up how her and Alexis had on the same dress. She had on a size 2 and I had on a size 12. So then Alexis is like, like, why you say my name? And Heather is like, well, I'm sorry that you felt that way. That was not my intent. But like, really? And so Gina tries to chime in, because you can tell that Heather's getting really defensive, because she was like, you're not about to put this on me. Like, I purposely did that to you. So then Heather's just like, girl, like, I didn't do this on purpose. Because Emily's like, do you see where I'm coming from? And Heather is like, not really, but like, I apologize. And so Heather's getting defensive. Emily's getting upset because she feels like, why is Heather getting defensive? And I'm like, Emily, you're trying to accuse her of like fat shaming you. And she's like, well, you sent me your measurements. I gave the measurements to the designer and they sized you appropriately. Heather even says in her confessional, she had on a size 12 and it was actually tight. Like, it didn't look bad on her. I'm confused as how she's trying to paint me as someone that did this maliciously. And the thing is Emily has a hard on for Heather. Like, Emily really doesn't want to voice her reasons why she don't like Heather, because I think this is a non-issue. Your own body insecurities are your own. Like, girl, you are bigger than them. You're a glamazon, and that's okay. I already told you, I feel like Emily has like some type of eating disorder or like an obsession with the gym that's very unhealthy, because you're going to the gym all this time and you still hate your body. You lost all this weight with the help of Ozempic, working out, and a little bit of lipo, but you still hate your body. Then it's time for you to go sit on somebody's couch and actually unpack that, because that's nobody else's issue. So then Emily is like, well, Heather, why can't you just apologize? And then Alexis is like, she did. And so now Emily is tired of her, because she's like, Alexis, ain't nobody talking to you. No one's talking to you. She was like, and Alexis like, you did bring me in this because you just said that Heather put you in a size 12 and I'm in a size 2. And everyone's trying to explain to Alexis that she was giving you a compliment, saying that like, you look better than her. You look skinny. Like, what's not clicking, Alexis? Honestly, it feels like Alexis went to the bathroom and did bathroom things when Gina took her there. And now she's having a moment, because this does not make sense to me. Like, Alexis just wanted to have a moment and make an issue with Emily when there wasn't an issue. She was trying to give you a compliment. So you got Katie in the confessional being like, that's what Heather does when she doesn't feel like she's painted in a good light. She gets defensive and she why can't she just apologize? And I'm like, she did apologize. She told Emily hey, I didn't do that on a purpose, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. But I guess Emily couldn't receive it because she felt like Heather was defensive, and I feel like rightfully so, because then you see Heather get up because she's like, that's not okay, because I ain't do that to her. And Tamara was like, yeah, that's not okay, like Emily's tripping right now. So then Emily wants to have this conversation with Heather now privately. I was like, yeah, I was like, that's what you should have did in the beginning, Emily. You wanted an audience, and then you got an audience response because now everybody's chiming in, and now Heather feels defensive because it feels like you're trying to purposely say she tried to fat shame you by put you in clothes that you sent measurements for and they sized you correctly. So since Heather walked away from the group, Emily's yelling at Alexis because Alexis won't shut up about, Emily putting her into stuff, and Emily tells her to shut the F up, and Alexis was like, are you serious? You just told me to shut the F up. And Emily is like, yeah, because this is not a conversation you need to be in, and she's not wrong about that. So Emily goes over to Heather and tries to be like, can we have a conversation? And Heather's like, can you not yell at me? And Emily tries to explain herself again, and Heather's like, well, can you let me speak? Because you're not trying to let me speak. So then Emily's like, you know what? F off, Heather. And so Heather's like, girl, what is wrong with you? So you then see Tamara and everybody else in the house except for Gina and Emily. Heather walks in and she's like, she really got an attitude and she's mad at me about jeans while I'm trying to fundraise at a charity event. Like I did that on purpose. She done lost her mind. So then Alexis tries to chime in and be like, and by the way, why would she mention me? Alexis, shut up, because you were not a part of this. Jen is just looking at everybody like, my God, today. Like, y'all really in my house doing all this yelling and carrying on. So then Gina is just like, telling Emily, like, I get it. She apologized, but it was met with defensiveness. And she was like, I wish she could see that you're not meaning this maliciously. And I'm like, do you really know that, Gina? Because it seems like both you and Emily have, like, y'all don't really like Heather. Y'all have this undercover like animosity towards her that you just won't say. Emily always has an attitude when Heather is around, so we know you don't like her. So I don't feel like this is coming from a good place. I feel like Emily already has these preconceived notions about who Heather is. She already feels insecure and belittled by Heather. So anytime anything goes wrong and Heather's name is a part of it, or if Heather's throwing an event, Emily either wants to ruin the event by being so obnoxious and being an ass, or she wants to blame her for trying to be malicious. Because I've seen so many people bring up the whole snuffleupagus thing, and that was also a non-issue. Girl, you just don't like your body. And I'm saying this as someone who has had issues with my own body, but like someone calling me snuffleupagus or putting me in a size 12 that I fit is not going to have me spiraling out and having a meltdown like this. Now, in the beginning of the episode, Emily said she took testosterone, like they put a pellet in her butt because, it's supposed to help when you have like an overproduction of estrogen. It's supposed to help balance you out. And, I don't know if Emily's in menopause or not because she's in her 50s. But I'm just kind of like, girl, maybe it's the testosterone that your hormones out of whack, but there was no need for this reaction. Now, when she was cussing out Alexis, I understood because Alexis, why are you talking? No one's speaking to you. So we then see Gina and Emily go in the house because they're like, you want to go? And Emily's like, yeah, I want to go. So when they walk into the house, Heather is just giving Emily the stank face. And Emily's like, don't look at me like that. And Heather's like, I can look at you like that when I'm mad at you. And I'm like, yeah, Emily, she can if she wants to. You made this an issue. Okay. So then next thing you know, Alexis tries to jump in it again, and Emily was like, Alexis, shut the F up. Like, this has nothing to do with you. Nothing. You're a friend. She's basically telling Alexis, you're a friend of the show. You're irrelevant. You're not a housewife. Get out the conversation. And so Gina and Emily end up walking out of the house, and the last thing Emily says to Alexis is, shut up, Alexis, you idiot. Go. Why don't you go F John some more? I said, ooh. And so Alexis is like, you know what? In her confession, she's like, you know what? I am a friend. I'm a better friend than you, Emily. I said, Alexis, shut the hell up. She's so delusional. So yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. And as always, remember to be bravely authentic and definitely hop down in the comments below and share your thoughts with me. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.